These instruments which you see before you, you must set your mind firmly in pursuit of the goals.
These grim devices reveal a dark truth. Humanity has long shown a brutal streak. In the name of justice or cruelty, people created horrifying tortures. From crushing skull bones to unspeakable horrors, the ingenuity is chilling. If only that effort had gone to good. For the morbidly curious, here are 12 most evil punishments from around the world. Number 12. Iron Maiden. The Iron Maiden is often depicted as a horrific torture device, a metal cabinet lined with spikes meant to impale anyone locked inside. But evidence of its medieval use is lacking. Most historians now believe the Iron Maiden was a 19th century fabrication, born from a fascination with macabre history rather than actual practice. The most famous version, the Iron Maiden of Nuremberg, debuted publicly in 1802, gaining notoriety despite no medieval records confirming its use. Scholars suspect these devices were assembled from unrelated artifacts to shock museum-goers of the time. Though likely a myth, the Iron Maiden's chilling image endured. Still, its fictional status doesn't lessen the brutal reality of true medieval torture, which often involved methods just as terrifying, if not worse, than the spiked coffin of legend. Number 11. The rack. One of the most infamous torture devices of the medieval era, the rack was engineered to extract confessions or information through sheer agony. It consisted of a rectangular wooden frame with rollers mounted at each end, slightly raised above the ground. Victims were bound by their wrists and ankles to these rollers, and then the torment began. By slowly turning the rollers, executioners would stretch the victim's body, dislocating joints and tearing muscles and ligaments in the process. In the most brutal cases, limbs could be torn completely from the body. Used across Europe from the 15th to the 18th century, the rack became a symbol of merciless interrogation. Often, its mere presence was enough to compel a confession. But such torture was notoriously unreliable. Under unbearable pain, victims frequently confessed to anything, truthful or not, just to make it stop. Number 10. The Brazen Bull. The Brazen Bull is one of history's most horrifying torture devices. An ancient, life-sized bronze bull, hollow on the inside, and designed for theatrical cruelty. Victims were locked inside its belly, and a fire was lit beneath the metal shell, turning it into a deadly oven. As the temperature rose, the person inside was slowly roasted alive. To add to the horror, the bull's design included a system of tubes that transformed the victim's screams into the sound of an enraged bull, amplifying both the spectacle and the suffering. Though its exact use remains debated, the Brazen Bull's legend has endured as a haunting symbol of cruelty disguised as art. Even imagining such a fate is enough to leave a lasting chill, proof that sometimes the most terrifying inventions are born from a blend of brutality and twisted creativity. Number 9. Chair of Torture. The chair of torture, sometimes called the Judas chair, was a brutal medieval device used to punish, coerce, and extract confessions. Not for truth, but submission. Made of wood or iron, it was covered with hundreds to over 1,500 sharp spikes lining the backrest, seat, armrests, and footrests. Victims were stripped and strapped in tightly, the spikes piercing flesh while avoiding vital organs to ensure prolonged agony. Some versions had pressure bars that pushed limbs deeper into the spikes. To intensify suffering, hot coals were sometimes placed beneath the seat, roasting victims alive while they remained conscious. The torture was both physical and psychological. Public use of the chair was meant to instill terror and enforce obedience through fear. It remains a haunting symbol of how cruelty was institutionalized under the guise of justice in the medieval world. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now. Number 8. The Pear of Anguish. Also known as the choke pear, the Pear of Anguish was a metal device shaped like a pear, allegedly inserted into the mouth, rectum, or vagina depending on the offense. A screw mechanism would then expand its metal petals, causing severe internal damage. Despite its gruesome reputation, the historical use of this device is highly debated. While examples exist in museums, there's little solid evidence it was actually used during the medieval period. Many historians suspect it was a later invention, possibly from the 18th or 19th century, created to feed public fascination with torture during the rise of curiosity shows and sensational displays. Whether fact or fiction, the pair of anguish highlights society's obsession with the brutal imagery of medieval punishment, often blurring the line between truth and myth in the portrayal of past horrors. Number 7. The wheel. The breaking wheel, also called the execution wheel or Catherine wheel, was one of Europe's most brutal forms of capital punishment, used from medieval times into the 19th century. It was designed not for swift death, but prolonged agony. Victims were tied to a large wooden wheel, limbs outstretched, as an executioner shattered their arms and legs with a heavy club. In crueler cases, broken limbs were woven through the spokes, and the wheel was raised on a pole, leaving the mangled body as a public warning. Common in the Holy Roman Empire, it was often used for crimes like robbery and murder under mirror punishment, reflecting the severity of the offense with bodily destruction. Though eventually outlawed, it lingered shockingly long. Abolished in Bavaria in 1813 and used in Prussia until the mid-1800s, the breaking wheel remains a haunting symbol of justice, turned into cruelty and spectacle. Number 6. The head crusher. The head crusher was a medieval torture device, as brutal as its name suggests. It featured a metal cap placed over the skull, connected to a frame with a chin plate and a screw mechanism on top. As the screw was turned, pressure increased, crushing the skull and facial bones. Teeth shattered, jaws broke, and in the most extreme cases, the victim's eyes could bulge or even burst from their sockets. A truly horrifying sight. Used for both punishment and interrogation, the head crusher inflicted unimaginable agony. Yet expecting honest confessions under such torment reveals the cruelty, not logic, behind its use. One original head crusher survives today and is displayed at the Salem Museum of Torture, a grim reminder of how far human cruelty has gone in the name of control, fear, and supposed justice. Number 5. Thumbscrews. The thumbscrew was a small but terrifying torture device used in early modern Europe to extract confessions through intense pain. It worked by clamping a victim's thumbs, fingers, or toes between metal bars. As the screw tightened, bones shattered and flesh was crushed. Some versions were even worse, with spikes that pierced beneath fingernails and into soft tissue. Compact and easy to use, the thumbscrew became a favorite tool of interrogators. In Scotland, it was known as thumbikins or pillywinks, and gained notoriety during witch trials and inquisitions. One of the most tragic cases occurred in 1596, when the children of accused witch Alison Balfour were tortured to force her confession. Though centuries have passed, the thumbscrew remains a haunting symbol of the cruelty inflicted in the name of justice, reminding us of the dangers of fear, superstition, and unchecked authority. Number 4. The tongue terror. The tongue terror was a medieval torture device used mainly on those accused of heresy, blasphemy, or other speech-related offenses where the crime was in the words themselves. The device consisted of iron pincers with jagged edges, designed to seize and mutilate the tongue. Once clamped on, the torturer would pull, tear, or even rip the tongue out completely. The agony was immense, often leading to death by blood loss or infection. Survivors were typically left maimed and mute, permanently silenced, which was exactly the point. This method served as both punishment and warning, ensuring others would think twice before speaking out. It was a brutal reminder of how, in certain eras, words alone could condemn you to a lifetime of suffering, or worse. Number 3. The breast ripper. The breast ripper, also known as the iron spider, was a torture device specifically designed to target women, often accused of so-called female crimes, like adultery, heresy, or blasphemy. Its purpose was not just to cause excruciating pain, but to permanently maim and dehumanize. The device featured 4 iron claws, frequently heated red-hot, which were clamped onto the breast. In some versions, the claws were mounted to a wall with the victim's chest fixed in place, then violently pulled away, tearing flesh from the body. Other designs included serrated edges or spikes to intensify the agony. This horrifying tool was more than punishment. It was a statement of control. The breast ripper remains a grim reminder of how torture was used to enforce societal norms, suppress women, and turn suffering into a spectacle of domination and fear. Number 2. Heretic's fork. The heretic's fork was a cruel torture device used during the medieval period, especially by the Spanish Inquisition, to silence and torment accused heretics. It consisted of a metal rod with 2 double-pronged forks, one facing up, one down, joined by a collar worn around the neck. The upper prongs pressed into the chin, the lower into the chest or sternum. Any movement, speaking, nodding, even swallowing, caused the sharp tips to pierce the flesh. Unlike devices meant for execution, the heretic's fork was designed to keep victims alive and suffering. It wasn't just punishment. It was control through fear and pain. Some versions bore the inscription *abiuro, Latin for "I recant," underscoring the device's true purpose, forced repentance. Through such instruments, the Inquisition reinforced its authority, turning belief into obedience under the threat of agony. Number 1. Scavenger's daughter. The scavenger's daughter, also known as Skevington's gibbet, was a brutal 16th-century English torture device named after Sir Leonard Skevington, Lieutenant of the Tower of London under Henry VIII. Unlike the rack, which stretched victims, this device crushed them. Made of iron in an A-frame shape, it folded the victim's body inward, head at the top, hands at the middle, legs near the base. As the frame closed, it forced the torso into a grotesque compression. The intense pressure caused victims to bleed from the nose and ears and often led to death. It was a gruesome reversal of the rack, lesser known but equally horrifying. An original scavenger's daughter still exists and is on display at the Tower of London, serving as a chilling reminder of how inventive and cruel torture could be in the name of justice. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. Thanks for watching.